How's it going, guys? Geoff Chrysler here, a detail enthusiast, here for your next installment of my Austin Healey BN1 restoration. And as you can see, we got lots more done this week. We got the wheels on, and got the steering wheel and dashboard in. Got the wiper motor here in. She's looking really good, so I'll show you a bit more of what I've done. Let's get into it. Okay, so as you can see, I fit the wheels on this week. It was all ready for them last week, so now of course these I'm just put them on temporarily. These wheels are relatively new, but they were used for a couple years, and there's a number of little paint chips and marks, and so I'm gonna clean them up and probably repaint them. And then I've got a brand new set of Michelin X tires here that I'll be putting on them as well. So, but until we'll get all the paint work and body work done first on these, and then when it's all fresh and clean, then I'll switch over the tires. And here's my dash fascia in place with all of the original gauges restored by Nissinger's and all my original Bakelite switches. I'm wondering what the spec is on the headlight switch here. I've seen a lot of cars, the majority I would say, had it said side head on that light switch, whereas some cars, including mine, had a little L switch for lights. And that is my original Bakelite knob, so I cleaned it up and put it back on. But I wonder why some had one and some had the other. So here you can see, it's just been doing all the wiring, following a wiring diagram, and pretty straightforward stuff. One thing I will say, I got this harness from British Wiring, and I've now had to go back and buy a couple lengths of, they sell it by the foot, just of a couple particular wires that they didn't include that are kind of separate little joiner pieces. So I had to get some of this brown and blue to go from the headlight switch down to the ignition switch. I got to get a length of that, and a couple other little places I noticed. Oh, of course, I got to do another, like a red with the white pigtail to join to the rest of the lighting for the dash lights. And what was the other one? Oh, it was this one here that goes to the coil. There should be another pigtail coming off that goes to the distributor. So next step I'm going to get into is installing the horn and trafficator assembly. And as you can see here, my car was missing the entire assembly, so I was able to do a bit of horse trading around, and I got a freshly, beautifully restored one from Kurt Arndt, who specializes in restoring these trafficator assemblies and does an incredible job redoing the Bakelite properly. And yeah, it's just a thing of beauty. So really glad to have that piece. It's all ready to go, and you can see the wires are staggered for easy installation into the stator tube. So here we are, just feeding the line in, going fairly smoothly. So as you can see, I've got the horn and trafficator cable threaded through the stator tube, and I've got it just at the end here. I don't want to push it all the way through because I want to still be able to feed this through the column, so I'm just going to carefully do that now. And I've already got the nut and canceling lever installed there. I straightened out that lever, and nice little bit of lube added to make it go smoothly. And there she goes. I'll get one started here. Okay, so we got the screws in, and I'll just push her home, making sure to, oh, yep, there we go. Gotta line up that and push her in. There she is. Beautiful. So on this end, you see the stator tube has come through, and we can feed up the olive and the nut and tighten those down. So there's the olive, feed it onto the tube, and a little brass nut. There we go. Beautiful. I can tighten that down. And of course, there will be a, there's like a tray piece of sheet metal here that's painted body color. Actually, it has to go in under these horns utilizing the same holes. And it connects to the bottom of the grill opening on the outer end. But it has a little hole with a grommet, so this wire will feed down through that, and then go into this clip and attach right here with the rest of the wiring. So that is the horn trafficator unit installed. That looks really great. Beautiful. Great. Hey guys, so as you can see, I got a roll of some 5/16 steel fuel brake line, and I've cut a piece and bent it up following my original here. So I'm just doing the ends on it, and actually rather than a flared end, these originals, they had these little olives soldered onto the end. So what I did, I've cut the original ends off, so there you can see the olive on the end of my original, and of course the fitting, yeah, I gotta put the fitting on first. But yeah, I just cut the ends off, popped them in my bench vise, and heated them up with a torch until the solder goes loose, and you just pop the olive off, and now I can put the olives onto my new pipes using the same method backwards. So I'm going to use just a little bit of this liquid solder flux, just brush it on here, and then pop the olive on. There. Nice fit, so I'll just heat that up. Then I've got a little bit of solder I can add to it. And there you go. Nicely soldered on with my original fittings. So that should fit beautifully. So with that fuel line all made up, I was able to route it underneath and snap it in place with all those little pipe clips. And you can see it does a little jog over the clutch linkage there. Comes out on towards the top of the cross member, and that's where the flex line screws in. And that is my original flex line all cleaned up. It's got that nice cross hatch pattern on it with a little label. So okay, so here you can see got the fuel line in, comes up here and plugs into the pump here, and then we've got this other one going into the boot. And just starting to install the batteries now. These are those the reproduction of the Lucas 6-volt batteries. And yeah, I got these through Antique Battery. Really nice. They're like a proper modern dry cell battery, so there's no need to fill them or anything like that. They have the caps on the top, but they're just for show that say Lucas on them. And yeah, so I got a pair of those, and this is the correct hold down hardware. As you see, there are these long studs, brass studs with a little spring washer, big flat fender washer, and a flat rubber washer. So those just screw down into the welded nuts. So you can see I've got my one battery cable that goes up to the starter solenoid is installed. That's the longest one, and I'm still waiting on some more cable so I can make the battery to battery cable and the starter solenoid to starter motor cable. And obviously the ground cable and the cable going to the battery shutoff switch, I gotta make that as well. And I can pop this other battery in, making sure the positive and negative are beside each other for that joiner cable. Sometimes tricky to line up the holes underneath, but there it is. And of course, here is my fresh air hose that I've installed. And I've gone with the paper version. BN1s, there was kind of a transition that happened between the old oilcloth version and these paper ones. Not to be confused with later styles that had a foil inside. This one does not. It's just the paper. And actually, I have evidence that my car did have the paper. There was a small chunk of it left in the clamp here. The rest of it was long gone, but... So here you can see this is what came off of my car. It was the last little bit that was here stuck in the clamp. You can see that is the paper stuff. No foil. So that is what I'm faithfully reproducing here. Hey guys, here we are getting the wiper motor ready to install. So I've got this kit of hardware. These are these special little stepped rubbers that hold it in place under the bracket in the car. And here's this black rubber pad that goes under the motor itself. So to start off, I gotta thread these guys into the motor itself. Into both corners, and I can tighten those down, but and this guy is going to go on like that, and then the whole thing's going to get lifted in. All of these are going to go underneath of the bracket you'll see in the car, and of course these little guys, little Roger Moment rubbers, all of these are Roger Moment patterns, but these little guys are for the actual bezels, and they'll go right on there. They're a little seal that goes underneath. So glad to have this kind of stuff. So here we are installing the wiper motor. You can see I've just kind of set it in position here. What I had to do was take out those two studs that are in the bottom of it, just so it'll fit in here, and then you put the studs in through the holes in the bottom. And also with the arm, you can see I've just got the first section here, and then everything else I took off so that that line could remain flexible and I could fish it through where it needs to go, up over top of all the hoses and stuff. So you want to have that as flexible as possible. And you can see in here, there's those, I had to put these studs up through the holes, just line it up and send them up in there. And so now that they're in there, I can tighten these down. Oh, I need a much smaller wrench. And there you go. Put the little rubbers in from the bottom with the smaller shoulder of the rubber into the hole, and then the washers and nuts to finish them off. So the wiper motor is installed now. You can see I got it on that little rubber pad, and I've got the linkage in with the bezel mechanisms. And there you can see I've got the control arms routed and just hanging in place. I just use a little twist tie to hold it in place for the time being until the shroud gets on. And I'm going to hold off on putting those rubbers in until we've put it through the shroud, and I'm going to finish that area just to protect those rubbers. But yeah, there she goes. Wiper motor is fully installed. Okay, so also, as you can see, I've got the water temperature capillary line now fed through. It goes through that same wire clip with the oil pressure line, and basically just follows the oil pressure line on out the firewall through that grommet. And it comes out here, and it will be there's a series of clips going along the shroud opening for the bonnet. There's two actually that'll line up with those two holes, and then it'll come around here into the rad. So I've just got it hung there temporarily. One more little detail I corrected. I had a wire clip there that was incorrect. My car didn't have anything there, so I wasn't sure what it was supposed to be, and I chose a wire clip because it looked about the size of the hole, but turns out it should be a pipe clip, so I've changed that out. So that's correct now. So we're getting just about ready to install the drivetrain, I'd say. So that's it for this week. Dash is looking really good. Steering wheel and trafficator are in. Wiper motor's in. And most of the wiring's all done. So feeling really good about that. So until next week, I'm Geoff Chrysler, a detail enthusiast. See you next time.